the amazing thing was I can't remember the timeline, whether it was 1990 when Mark was putting together the rhythm section for Centrifugal Funk, because it was Jimmy Earl, Steve Faglione was there. I went
Yeah,
to the rehearsal studio and watched them rehearse. Joey Heredia playing drums, Mike O'Neill on guitar. Like, man, that what a player Michael is. Like, oh my God, his
yeah.
rhythm playing, and he was blowing solos when they were doing the rehearsals, and I was just sitting there going, "Why isn't this guy on the album? What am I doing here?" And I can't remember who the keyboard player was. I feel terrible. I can't remember his
Shit,
name,
yeah, I'm
but
also now. Ah, fuck.
obviously someone ridiculous. And and then Mark sort of grabbed me and said, "Hey, come and have a listen to this." And he took me out to his car and he played me the mastered version on cassette of Truth in Shredding. And I remember I just looked at him and said, "Mark, what have you done?" I said, "You've got the two most unbelievably groundbreaking guitar players on the planet on the same album together. This is crazy." And yeah, he knew what he had, all right. And
Yeah,
Frank did a masterful job of producing that. Like, and
true.
one of my favorite songs on there, if not the favorite, is New Boots, which is Frank's original tune. I love that song.
Yeah,
And Jimmy Earl produced Centrifugal Funk, so
centrifugal.
he did
Yeah.
a fantastic job of that. And because I originally I used to buy Guitar Player magazine when I was very young, and I kept buying it into the 80s. And Mark's brother Mike started doing the Spotlight column, where they'd feature three
Okay.
players every month and every issue. And I was reading it and was really interested, and I just looked at it and thought, well, I've never seen any Australians in here. And I thought, I wonder if he put an Australian inside. Had my girlfriend take a photo of me in front of a wall and sent him a demo tape with some solos on it, and he put me in the magazine. I think I was the first
Oh
Australian ever
wow, man.
featured.
Okay, that's
I
amazing.
think I was. I don't know. And so Mark Varney found me through that. It might have even been an English friend of mine, Maurizio, who found me through that, who sent my tape to Mark. I think that's
Wow,
how it went. So,
amazing.
um, so I have to, yeah, thanks to Maurizio for doing that. And Mark and I were talking. I think this was even before I'd even gone to America. We were talking about me doing an album, and I was thinking in terms of Australian budgets, and I thought, this you can't get this done for under $30,000. It just can't happen. And Mark said, I've got about five, and like, oh, I have to track the whole thing in a take. And I thought it'd be a bit rough. And then I turned him on to TJ. I gave him TJ's information, and he started talking to TJ about the same thing. And I remember TJ and I sitting, having a couple of beers, sitting up in the Hollywood Hills, looking out at the city, talking about how are we going to do an album for $5,000, and this is never going to happen. And then we just sort of hit upon this idea, like, why don't we do it together, and then we'll have $10,000. And we presented the idea to Mark, and he said, "Yeah, that sounds fair enough." So we did quid pro quo as a joint effort, and he pulled the budget. And through downtime at Cherokee, which TJ could get because he was working there, we managed to make it happen. So
Wow,
that
that's
was that
amazing.
was how that happened. But that was Mark was already talking to me about doing an album for him, and that's when he said, "Look, I'm putting this project together with Shawn Lane and Frank Ambali. Do you want to do it?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, well for sure." And the funny thing was, I'd come back to LA, and I guess it must have been early 1990. And I was staying with Bobby Rock, the drummer from the Nelson band. I was
Yeah.
crashing on his couch, and Bobby was old friends with Shawn Lane. And he said, "Hey, check this out." And he puts this video in that had just been sent to him by Shawn. And it's Shawn playing. You can find it on YouTube. It's at the Bombay Bicycle Club, I think. And it's
I'll have to
him and a
find it.
drummer playing. Him and a drummer playing the backing tracks that Shawn had obviously recorded. They're doing like Mike Stern tunes and some of his early instrumental stuff. And I'm just sitting there going, "Oh my God, what am I even watching right now? Who is this person?" He said, "Yeah, Sean's." He said, "Sean was his friend of mine. He used to be in Black Oak, Arkansas. The whole
Yeah.
story." And then when Mark said that to me, I said yes, and then I thought, I'm going to get killed. I'm going to get pulverized here. And so luckily, I got to do all my solos before. Then Frank came in after I was finished, and I thought, oh, thank God for that. It was great. I got to meet Frank, and he was just wonderful. And Sean did his stuff in Memphis. He didn't like to fly back then, so.
Mm. Did you ever meet
But
Sean then live
I
also?
did, yeah. We
Oh,
Bobby Rock. Bobby Rock and Carl Carter, fantastic bass player who I met through Bobby, and I used to go out and do these drum clinic tours when Bobby had a deal with Sona Drums, and we'd just go all over America in a van. It was fantastic. I got to see so much of America.
Mm,
We did it like punk rockers, like just get in a van, pull a U-Haul, and sleep in it, and wear the same clothes for weeks. It was hilarious. Like a great experience. And on one of these tours, we went through Memphis and called in at Sean's grandmother's place where he was staying. And he played us Powers of Ten in its entirety before it was even released. I mean,
well,
uh, and I got to meet him and have a chat with him, and he was just the most amazing person. Like
mm,
so humble and understated. It was really easy to forget the magnitude of the musician you were actually talking to. And I remember we were listening to the album, and I said, I could tell they were sampled drums. I knew it wasn't a real drum kit, but it sounded like a real drummer. And I said,
hmm
how'd you do the drums? And I said, you program them. And he said, no, 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 I just played them in. And I was trying to think, like, what, like the pads on the drum machine or something? Like, and I said, and then you quantize it? And he said, no, no, I didn't quantize it. They just played them in.
Oh
And
wow.
we just kind of left it at that. And then I think the following year I was at the NAMM show and I saw a guy, a keyboard player, demonstrating drum samples for a sample library. And he was playing a groove on a keyboard. And I went, oh my God, that's what he meant. He sat there at his keyboard and played all those songs
That's
in
amazing.
real time. And I mean, his friend Barry was there and he said that he was there the day Sean took delivery of the little Mac computer and Cubase. And I think it was about, I don't know, it was like 4 in the afternoon. And Barry said, well, I'll see you tomorrow, Sean. He said, yeah, see you tomorrow. And he said, by the time he'd come back the next day, Sean had stayed up all night and had learned how to use Cubase and had written and recorded Grey Pianos Flying in its
Wow.
entirety.
Oh man. Okay.
And I went, okay, so, and he hadn't touched a guitar in nearly 2 years, not 2 years, like 2 weeks, I don't think. He was going through a terrible time personally at that time, and he wasn't really playing. And that night he came and jammed with me and Bobby and Carl. And
Whew.
man, it was like he did nothing to play that guitar. It was just frightening. It was fright. We had a song called Pedal to the Metal, which had a very long, quite involved melody. And I showed it to Sean before the gig. And the clinic went for 2 hours. So, I mean, I said, you don't have to remember this if you don't want, Sean. I mean, you can just blow over the solo. And Sean said, no, no, it's okay. I'll remember it. And Barry said, trust me, he'll remember it. And Bobby Rock's got a cassette of it. He's got a
Oh
recording
man.
of the jam. And you can hear Sean just kind of feeling his way through the first part of the melody. And by the time we play it again, he's on it. He's playing it better than I did. And I wrote it. So, I mean, and the solo is
Amazing.
just like, Jesus, it's just face melt sent like a flamethrower. It's just unbelievable.
That's
So,
amazing, man.
yeah,
Yeah, I love this
beautiful,
guy so much,
beautiful.
man. Such a player.
Yeah.
Really.
Amazing and amazing musician. To consider he was as good a piano player as he was
Yeah.
guitar player,
Yeah.
and probably close to being as good a drummer as well. He could play a real
I didn't
kit.
know that. I didn't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the album he did after Powers of Ten, the Tritone Fascination. That's
Yeah.
him playing. So
Wow.
yeah, that's him playing drums on it. So
Didn't know. Wow. Yeah, I mean, he's
um,
just the trio with Jeff Sipe and Jonas. I mean, when I first heard that trio, I was like, wow,
yeah, well, that was
man,
I got one of those
that's
albums. I think it was Temporal Analogues of
yeah,
Paradise,
that's one of the best albums,
and I
like
remember
guitar
listening
wise.
to it, and I was going, oh wow, they've got a singer. Wow, they've done an amazing job of learning all those melodies. And then it just all of a sudden I figured it out and I went, no, that's Sean singing what he's playing. Like, it
Exactly. Yeah.
took me a minute because, of course, I couldn't see anything. But yeah, eventually I figured it out. Sean was singing what he was playing. So yeah. You remember when the cassette of Danny Gatton started doing the rounds and they called it the Humbler because everyone thought they were pretty good until they heard that tape and went, oh. And it was like, yeah, I've met so many humblers in my lifetime. It's like I'm kind of beaten down. I'm a broken man. So, uh,
No, no, yeah, incredible. Those, I mean, amazing that you got to work with all these players. I mean, it's really
isn't it?
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah. It's
fantastic.
crazy.